Parties at Pickfair, presented by the ice industry of the United States and Canada. Tonight, the ice industry of America makes you at home around the long, flower-decked dinner table at Pickfair. Meet old and new friends. Conductor-composer Alfred Newman and his orchestra. Paul Taylor and his chorus. Davis Cup tennis ace Frank Shields. America's beloved humorist, everybody's old man, Irvin Cobb. The lovely-to-look-at first singing lady of the screen, Jeanette MacDonald. And at the head of the table, bending toward the microphone in crimson lace to match camellias in her hair, your gentle, adorable hostess, Mary Pickford.
I have traveled the world around, seen strange sights and people. But no matter where I've been, I've loved to close my eyes and imagine that I was back in my own home. So tonight is a dream come true, for here I am at Pickfair, surrounded by the people I love.
Mr. Frank Shields.
A nicely timed entrance, Frank Shields. You're just in time to tell me something.
Not so fast, Miss Mary. It's leap year and you've forgotten to propose a dance with me.
Whereupon the bold maiden manages to blush and glide onto the floor in the arms of a handsome tennis player. Now, sir, I would know how a Davis Cup tennis champion became an actor.
I was 19.
And she was beautiful.
She was married.
Naughty, naughty.
I'd come out here really to play in the Pacific Southwest tennis tournament.
How did you meet?
I was out on the court batting a practice ball around.
Stop. It doesn't sound romantic.
It wasn't. A car drove up, a woman got out and beckoned to me.
That's better.
She said, "Young man, I have a hunch about you. And every time I tell my husband I have a hunch about somebody making good in pictures, I'm always right. You ask him."
Did you?
I didn't have to, because her husband came over and handed me his card.
And asked you to dinner?
He did not. He asked me down to a studio to have a movie test the next afternoon.
So,
the next day, while I was having lunch with Charlie Chaplin, I fished the card out of my pocket and showed it to him. I guess the laugh was on me because I never knew that Bud Lighton was one of Hollywood's greatest producers.
Shocking.
Chaplin told me to take his car.
And you refused?
I did not. I got into the car and went down and had that movie test.
No, that story's no good, Frank Shields. There's no romance in it.
Oh, yes, there is, Mary. When I told my girl, she said I was completely out of her life if I went to Hollywood.
I see.
No, you don't.
I don't?
No, you don't.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry I ever mentioned it.
Yes.
But nevertheless, by the time I was offered a picture contract, my girl was my wife.
Fast work.
Well, I guess the Depression had convinced us if there was $1 to be earned, I'd better earn it.
Yes, you and everybody else. Paul Taylor and his chorus confess that Lazy Bones has got a job now. Listen.
Lazy Bones, oh, sleeping in the sun. Oh, how you said to guess your days were done. You won't get your cornmeal, baby. You're lazy, sitting in the noonday.
Oh, sure. Now looky here. I'm not a lazy bone, sleeping in the sun. 'Cause I got a job.
You got a job working for the USA. Lazy Bones got a job now, working for the USA. Old Lazy Bones got a gal now, waiting for the next day. Got a job now, his Uncle Ben got a gal now, his Honeyland. Lazy Bones got a gal now, waiting for the set today.
I loves my work because I loves my gal.
He loves his work, his gal.
I loves my work because I loves my gal.
He loves his gal. moi, bon-li-la-li-la-la-la.
I said goodbye to my mammy, said goodbye with a smile.
And now behold, Uncle Sammy, if it was for a while. Lazy Bones got a job now, working for the USA. Lazy Bones got a job now.
Oh, got a job.
You got a job. All God's children got jobs.
Last week, our friend Charlie Ruggles started to tell you about the thousands of cars of delicious cantaloupe which are now on the way to eastern markets and how they're protected in transit by Iceman's ice. But until recently, melon time also brought a problem all its own into the home. It was almost impossible to keep melons in a refrigerator without having their flavor in the butter and almost everything else. But all that's just a memory. Thanks to the engineering that developed the new air-conditioned ice refrigerator, now you can store melons and other fruit having heavy odors without fear of funny tastes in other foods. This is because the circulating air in an ice refrigerator picks up the scented air surrounding the melons and carries it to the ice. There the air is washed free of all odors and recirculated, providing a constant stream of sweet, pure air around the food. Ask to see these air-conditioned ice refrigerators. They set a new standard of luxury in living. No matter whether it's melon time, the fruit season, or whether you want to keep that newly caught trout or bass in fine condition, the result is the same. There is no drying out of food. All the original freshness and flavor is preserved with Iceman's ice.
Our United Artists musical director, Alfred Newman, plays a sparkling serenade from Frasquita. What are you thinking about, Irvin Cobb, sitting there so pensively?
You know, Mary Pickford, my thoughts go back to a time in New York when somebody on a blistering day introduced me to a little shabby girl who'd come down there from some town in Canada to try to get a chance in the big town. Her mother was with her, a mighty sweet woman who was all mother. And my guess was that youngster needed a regular job if she was going to eat regularly. Forever after, the picture of that little Canadian girl stuck in my mind, with a jungle of tangled curls and a round little anxious face and the gallant soul that shone out through her big, scared Irish eyes. And I never forgot her name either. It was a common enough name, too, Smith. Well, one way or another, I followed that girl's career. And strictly between us, it turned out to be quite a career. I watched her climb until she came to be one of the most illustrious women in the world, in her own profession or any other. I saw her called America's sweetheart, and that's what she still is, against all rivals, against all newcomers. I saw her beloved by millions of people all over this earth, and she still holds the affections of those millions, and that means something. It means she must have had sanity and humility and humanity along with her sweetness. Must have had kindliness and compassion and understanding along with good judgment and good sound horse sense. You know, anybody can be a success as a failure. It takes a lot more to be a successful success. I wonder, Mary, if you remember that day when you were little Gladys Smith, looking for a chance to make good and wondering if she'd ever get it.
Such a tribute from you, Irvin, moves me very deeply, and I appreciate it. But let's talk about something or somebody else.
Say, that's a sound idea. Let's talk about me. What aspect of this fascinating topic shall we deal with?
Well, your viewpoint, since you've become an actor.
Now, hold on. It just goes to show what can happen to a fellow in this life unless he resists temptation. I started out with high ideals. At 14, I was delivering newspapers. At 15, I drove an ice wagon, an honorable calling. I learned how to cut up a 50-cent chunk of ice into 18 5-cent chunks, which meant 50 cents for the boss, 40 cents clear profit for bright little Irvin, and the customers all satisfied. Maybe that's why I'm an honorary life member of the Ice Wagon Drivers Union now. Well, after that, it seemed I started slipping downhill. And now I've slid to the most abysmal depths of all and gone to acting for the movies. I read what the publicity bureau over at the studio writes about me, and I say, boy, there's an actor. And then I read what the press clippings from my first so-called starring vehicle, and I say to myself, well, you're wrong. Maybe the boys stole.
Oh, the clippings I read say differently, Irvin. How about a story? Even if I've heard it before, and I probably have, I promise.
Mary, that's the penalty of getting a bogus reputation as a dinner table cut-up. Now, let's see. Now, back in my native state of Kentucky, a stranger dashed up on horseback to where a typical hillbilly was plowing a perpendicular cornfield with spurs on, because if ever he slipped off his farm, he'd light half a mile down in Virginia. Say, the traveler yelled, say, who lives in that cabin just yonder on the rise? Well, said the native, I do for one. Is it more woman's audition? Oh, is she all alone? Yep. Well, you just jumped in through your kitchen window. Is that so? Said the mountaineer. Well, I do declare. But great heavens, aren't you going to do anything about it? Aren't you going to run up there and take a hand? Who? Me? No, sir. That panther's only got himself to blame. He'll have to make out the best way he can.
It makes me very happy to bring someone to you tonight whom I know you love as much as I do. A girl who won our hearts was naughty Marietta by her beauty and by her voice. And here she is, the lovely, radiant Jeanette MacDonald. Thank you, Jeanette. It's sweet of you to come and broadcast with me.
Oh, don't thank me, Mary. It's a privilege. You know, I'm really delighted because I feel through this broadcast tonight I'm going directly from Hollywood to New York, stopping off at, well, anybody's home, anywhere. Well, let's suppose my car breaks down and there's nothing in sight but a farmhouse. I walk up to the porch, knock at the door.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to let me use your telephone.
Why, certainly, miss. Only we haven't got a phone. What's your trouble?
My car's broken down and
I wish I could help you, miss. Perhaps my boy...
Oh, could your son help me?
Why, certainly, miss. Only he's gone to Centerville. But come in and sit down. Maybe I can get a neighbor.
Thank you.
Only I think they've all gone to the fair. But I'll call my wife. Nell, come down to the parlor.
Henry, how many times have I told you to stay out of the parlor in those... Oh, excuse me, miss. How do you do? Well, I didn't know we had company.
This is Mrs. Jones, miss. I didn't catch your name.
My name's Jeanette MacDonald.
Jeanette MacDonald?
Yes. Well, you have the same name as that moving picture actress.
A funny thing, you look a little like her, too.
Well, it would be funny if I didn't, because I am.
Son of a
Take
gun.
your life.
Well, we saw you in a movie last Saturday night.
Well, if this isn't lucky, we have a daughter in college who's just crazy about you, too. She saw you in naughty Marietta, and when she wrote us, Henry and I went 40 miles just to see you, and on wash day night, too. Really? Well, I hope it was worth the trip.
Oh, it sure was, Miss MacDonald. Now, don't you worry one bit about your car. We'll see that it gets fixed up. And while you're waiting, you'll have a little supper with us, won't you?
Oh, please do, Miss MacDonald. I made one of my lamb stews, and, well, Henry here can tell you about them. He doesn't have to tell me, Mrs. Jones. I think I can guess. Oh, Marcy, put another plate on the table. We have a guest. It's that moving picture actress, Jeanette MacDonald. Oh, look at that wonderful old-fashioned square piano. Just like the one we had when I was a little girl in Philadelphia. Do you mind? Say, Miss MacDonald, our neighbor, Mrs. Filkins, went to see you in Rosemarie. We had an argument. I said that you were in love with the man in your picture, Nelson Eddy, and she said you weren't. Now, who was right? You were. I was in love with him. Uh-huh, I knew it. Mm-hmm, in the picture. Oh, only in the picture. Oh, my, he was so handsome and blonde. I almost fell in love with him myself.
Oh, now.
But you must be in love with someone. Well, now that you've asked me, I suppose perhaps I ought to tell you. I am in love. Oh, please tell me. Yes. I'm in love with this home, with this room. Meet pleasant and perilous, though we may roam, sweet ever so humble, there's no place like home. beautiful, Miss MacDonald. Wasn't it, Henry?
It certainly was.
Well, guess I better go and see about my land, too.
I'm kind of glad you had this accident, Miss MacDonald, because, well, Nell's always reading about you in those movie magazines. Only this morning she told me you're making a new picture called...
San Francisco?
Yeah.
Yes.
And now, what's the name of the fella she said? The fella that was in love with you in that one? I think I heard of him.
Well, I think you did. It's Clark Gable.
Oh, that's right, yeah. You sing a lot of pretty songs, too?
Well, we think they're pretty. Supper will be on the table in 10 minutes. Oh, my, it's lovely to have somebody playing on our piano again.
Do you play, Mrs. Jones?
Well, I haven't played in 20 years, but here are some of the songs I used to play and sing. Annie Rooney, and a bicycle built for two. Oh, this one I love because I used to sing it when I was a little girl.
You mean just a little love, a little kiss?
Yes. My mother took me to a concert to hear a famous singer once when I was a youngster. She bought a copy of the music and taught it to me on our square piano, just like this one. And I used to put my hair up on top of my head and put on Mother's long skirt and make believe I was a singer.
Oh, well, could we coax you to sing it, Miss MacDonald?
Wouldn't take much coaxing to make me sing that song. When the velvet night of summer covered, field and leaf with her veil of blue.
Memories, don't it?
Oh, it certainly does, Henry. Now, Miss MacDonald, can't we put you up for the night? It's getting dark, and I don't think a young girl like you should be traveling alone at night.
Alone? I'm not alone. Oh, good heavens, I just remembered Mrs. Lewis is sitting out in the car.
Well, there's plenty of room for her, too.
Oh, there come our neighbors back from the fair.
Just wait till I tell them we got Jeanette MacDonald here.
Yeah, they'll never believe it.
Wait, I'll make them believe it.
What is that?
Oh, it's a song I think they'll all remember. Beyond the Blue Horizon from Monte Carlo. And Mr. Jones, do bring them all in. Please do. Blow whistle, blow away the cold. Oh, engine, anywhere, I don't care no more. On, from darkness into dawn, from rain into the rainbow, fly with me. Gone, gone, on the May I speak to you a moment, Miss MacDonald? Oh, Mrs. Lewis, I'm so sorry. I forgot to come back. Oh, never mind. The car's fixed. We can go now. But I don't want to go now. They're having lamb stew. But we've got time to get to the next town to a comfortable hotel before. Don't mention it. Forget it. We're spending the night here. You're staying here? Yes, right here. No, Mrs. Lewis, I've never wanted to stay anywhere so much in my whole life. They're having lamb stew.
Well, next week is the big week, the one we've all been waiting for, National Ice Week. But in case some of you didn't hear our previous announcements about National Ice Week, let me tell you again just what it means. All over the country, icemen have united to put on special demonstrations of ice and ice accessories during the week May 18th to 23rd. Of course, one of the big attractions everywhere will be the new air-conditioned ice refrigerator. That's the one thing that interests everyone. And here is news right from the front line. Refrigerator factories are literally swamped with orders and are working night and day to keep up with the demand for this remarkable refrigerator. Orders and shipments are far ahead of last year, and every locality is reporting sales all the way from 200 to 300% ahead of any previous year. That makes us feel good here at Pickfair, but it's the old story, you know, the man who builds a better mousetrap. Well, this new air-conditioned ice refrigerator is surely the reason for a beaten path to the door of the ice companies this year. We expected to announce one special feature for Ice Week, but ice companies in various cities have gone ahead with plans for many features. Each city is striving to outdo the other with a great variety of plans, prizes, and premiums. So watch your local newspaper for details of plans for Ice Week in your particular city. It may mean much to you. And in the meantime, remember,
Cold alone is not enough.
In exactly 10,050 minutes from now, in other words, a week from tonight, City Circus Night at Pickfair, peanuts, popcorn, and parades. Boxer Clyde Hager to guide you down the midway. Sailorman Bob Wilkinson with his strange stories of Pitcairn Island. Baritone George Houston with songs of the sawdust ring. And the only Edward G. Robinson in Romance Behind the Big Top with me as Susie of the Circus. Don't miss the parade. Good night.
you have been listening to Parties at Pickfair, broadcast each Tuesday night at this same time from Mary Pickford's home in Hollywood, California. This is Bill Cuser speaking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
KHJ, Los Angeles. Firestone Auto Supply time, 6:30.